I woke up in my sister's body that morning, staring at her flawless reflection in the bathroom mirror, and the first thing I did was smash her phone against the tile floor, because if she wanted to erase me from the family album, I'd rewrite her entire goddamn life. It wasn't suicide that killed me. It was the secret she'd buried under years of fake smiles and Instagram filters, the one that pinned her crimes on me while she played the golden child. And as I slipped into her designer heels, feeling the unfamiliar sway of her hips, I whispered to the empty room, "Your turn to bleed, Emily, starting with that tropical paradise you stole." The rain hammered against the roof of our childhood home like it was trying to drown out the lies we'd all told ourselves for years. It was a Tuesday in late summer, the kind of sticky Seattle evening where the air clings to your skin like regret. I'd just turned 28, but that day, I felt ancient, worn down by the weight of a life that wasn't mine to fix. My name is Madeline Harper, and up until that point, I'd been the invisible daughter, the one who held the family together with duct tape and denial while my sister, Emily, posed for the cameras. We grew up in a split-level ranch house on the outskirts of Bellevue, the sort of place where tech bros from Microsoft commuted to dream jobs and pretended their lives were as polished as their Teslas. Dad was a mid-level software engineer who'd clawed his way up from community college, Mom a part-time realtor with a smile that could sell ice to Eskimos. They weren't rich, but they weren't poor either, just comfortably numb in that Pacific Northwest way, where overpriced coffee and passive-aggressive potlucks kept the peace. Emily and I were Irish twins, 11 months apart, but you'd never know it from the outside. She was the sun, blonde, bubbly, with cheekbones that could cut glass and a laugh that turned heads at parties. I was the shadow, brunette, bookish, with a smattering of freckles across my nose that Mom always said made me look earnest. Earnest. Like that was a compliment. By high school, Emily was homecoming queen, captain of the debate team, and already fielding offers from Ivy League scouts. I was the valedictorian nobody remembered, the girl who tutored her through AP Calc because family helps family, right? But family? That's where the betrayal started festering, slow and insidious, like black mold behind the drywall. It began with the accident. Or what everyone called the accident. I was 16, Emily 15, and we'd snuck out to that rager at Lake Sammamish. The one with the bonfire and the keg stands and the older guys from East Side Prep who smelled like Axe body spray and entitlement. Emily had begged me to drive. Her license was still a dream, and Dad's old Subaru was my baby, the one perk of being the responsible one. We laughed the whole way there, windows down, blasting Taylor Swift's early stuff before she went corporate. But Emily wanted to impress some douchebag named Tyler, the quarterback with a trust fund and a tattoo of a cross on his bicep that screamed performative Christianity. She handed me a red Solo cup spiked with vodka. Too much, even for me, and said, "Loosen up, Mads. Live a little." I don't remember much after that. Flashes. The wheel jerking, tires screeching on wet pavement, the sickening crunch of metal against a guardrail. Then darkness. When I woke up in the hospital, tubes snaking into my arms, the first face I saw was Mom's, mascara-streaked and whispering prayers. Dad paced the hall, phone glued to his ear, already spinning damage control for his precious insurance rates. Emily? She was in the next room, miraculously unscathed, a few scratches and a sprained wrist that she'd milk for sympathy, likes on MySpace for weeks. The cops came later. Breathalyzer results showed I was over the limit, way over. Reckless endangerment, underage DUI, the works. Emily swore up and down that I'd been the one pounding shots in the car, that she'd tried to stop me. She wouldn't listen, officer. Mads has always been intense. Intense. There it was again, that word like a velvet-gloved slap. I took the fall. Community service, probation, a suspended license until 21. College applications tanked. I ended up at the local community college, while Emily jetted off to UW on a full ride. But it wasn't the legal shit that gutted me. It was the secret I pieced together months later, from deleted texts on her phone and a crumpled note in her jewelry box. Tyler hadn't just been some crush. Emily had been the one driving. She'd switched seats when I blacked out, pinned me behind the wheel to cover her ass.
Why?
Because Daddy's little girl couldn't have a blemish on her record. And me? I was expendable. The spare tire. The family's scapegoat. I never confronted her. Not then. Forgiveness was our family currency. Sweep it under the rug, post a filtered photo of us hugging at Christmas, and call it even. But the rot spread. Jobs fell through because of my history. Relationships fizzled when guys Googled me and found the mugshot. Emily? She graduated summa cum laude, landed a gig at a flashy PR firm in downtown Seattle, married a venture capitalist named Chad who looked like he'd been extruded from a Ken doll mold. They bought a condo in Capitol Hill, the kind with exposed brick and a wine fridge that cost more than my student loans.
Me?
I scraped by as a freelance editor, living in a studio apartment above a vape shop in Fremont, where the walls thrummed with bass from the hip-hop club downstairs. We still did family holidays, awkward affairs where Emily dominated the conversation with tales of her latest TEDx talk or charity gala, and I nodded along, sipping Box Merlot and wondering if anyone noticed the ghost at the table. Then came the vacation. The one that finally snapped the threadbare rope holding my sanity together. It was Mom's idea, a girls' trip to Maui to celebrate her 50th, Emily's too, since they shared a birthday month and Mom loved to bundle the drama. 10 days of sun-soaked beaches, luau feasts, and zero cell service to force us to reconnect. I saved for months, picking up extra gigs proofreading romance novels for a vanity press. Packed my one good bikini, the one with the high-waisted bottoms that hid my surgery scar from the crash. Emily texted the itinerary. Flights at dawn, resort on Ca Napoli with ocean view suites. I was buzzing, first real vacancy since we were kids. Boarding pass in hand, I hustled through Seattle-Tacoma, dodging harried families and that one guy blasting EDM from his portable speaker.
Got the battle.
But as I scanned my ticket, the agent frowned. Harper. Madeline Harper? Ma'am, you're not on this flight. My stomach dropped like a stone.
What?
I booked it, check again. She tapped her screen, sympathy lines etching her Botox-smooth forehead. Only Emily Harper and party. Looks like a family group. You might want to call them.
Call them. Right.
I fumbled for my phone, heart jackhammering. Straight to voicemail, Emily's chipper recording about soaking up paradise. Desperate, I dialed Mom. Pick up, voicemail again. Dad's line rang through, but he mumbled something about a work call and hung up. That's when I saw it. A notification ping. Emily's Instagram story. There she was, poolside at the Westin, pina colada in hand, tagging Mom and a couple of Emily's sorority sisters who'd mysteriously crashed the trip. Caption: Paradise found with the best gals. Missing you, Mads. Next time. Hibiscus family first aloha vibes. Missing you. Next time. The words blurred through hot tears. She'd cut me out. Erase me from the narrative, just like she'd erased me from that Subaru's driver's seat. I stood there in the terminal, a digital tumbleweed amid the boarding announcements, while my family laughed it up in Hawaii without a backward glance. Rage boiled up, black and viscous, tasting like the vodka from 12 years ago. I didn't cry on the way home. I planned. In my apartment, surrounded by takeout containers and the hum of the mini fridge, I scrolled through her feed, endless reels of her perfect life, the one built on my ruins. That's when I found it, the clinic ad buried in her bookmarks. Elysium Rejuvenation Center. Unlock your true self. Some Silicon Valley startup peddling experimental neurotherapy, promising identity realignment for the elite who could afford to play God. Emily had been going for months, stress relief, she called it in her posts. But the fine print? Body-mind transference trials. Swapping consciousnesses like outfits at a sample sale. It sounded like snake oil. Hell, it probably was. But desperation has a way of turning fiction into fuel. I called the number at 2 a.m., voice steady as rebar. The receptionist, a perky Valley Girl type, cooed about waitlists and NDAs. We're selective, hon. Referrals only. I have one. I lied, dropping Emily's name like a mic. Turns out, little sis had vouched for select clients through her PR network, ghostwriting endorsements for tech bros chasing immortality. By dawn, I had an appointment. Cash up front, no questions. The clinic was a glass monolith in South Lake Union, all sleek lines and ambient whale sounds in the lobby. Dr. Voss, a wiry German with eyes like polished obsidian, explained it in clipped accents. Neural mapping, synaptic bridging. Temporary, Miss Harper. A vacation for the soul. You inhabit another's vessel. Observe, return refreshed. Observe.
Right.
I signed the waiver, the one buried in legalese about unforeseen psychological fractures. They prepped me in a pod like a sci-fi coffin for drip humming with whatever cocktail made the impossible possible. The donor?
Anonymous, they said.
But as the drugs flooded my veins, I caught a glimpse on the monitor. Emily's chart, her neural signature glowing like a beacon. She'd been the test subject, looping in surrogates for her wellness retreats.
And now?
Now, I was the surrogate. The world dissolved into static. Then reformed. I gasped, bolting upright in silk sheets that smelled of lavender and privilege. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked Puget Sound, the city lights twinkling like distant gunfire. My hands, long, manicured, ending in nude polish, fluttered to my face. Smooth skin, high cheekbones. Emily's cheekbones. I stumbled to the mirror in her ensuite bath, and there she was, my sister, staring back with my eyes. Madeline in Emily's shell. Panic clawed at my throat, but I swallowed it down. This was it, the surprise move. The one that would leave them all speechless. I rifled through her closet, selecting a power suit, tailored black, the kind that screamed boardroom assassin. Her phone buzzed on the nightstand. Missed calls from Chad, a text from Mom about girls' night in Maui. I drafted a quick reply. Jet lag hitting hard. Catch you stateside.
Love, Eminencia.
Then I stepped into her life. First stop, the office. Emily's firm, Apex Strategies, occupied the top floor of a gleaming tower downtown. I breezed past the receptionist. God, her confidence was a drug, and into the corner suite. Her assistant, a mousy kid named Lena, jumped up with a latte. Miss Harper, you're back early. The Maui merger pitch. Handle it, I said, channeling Emily's Ice Queen vibe. I'm auditing the books today. Discreetly. Lena blinked but nodded, scurrying off. Alone, I dove into Emily's laptop. Password was her wedding date, because of course it was. Files upon files. Client lists, offshore accounts, the underbelly of her polished empire. And there it was, buried in an encrypted folder labeled Legacy. The crash report. Forged timestamps, bribed witness statements. She'd paid off the EMT who pulled me from the wreck, ensured the narrative stuck. But deeper, emails to Tyler, now a lobbyist in D.C., reminiscing about our little secret. Not just the switch, the cover-up extended to something darker. Drugs in the car, sourced from his dealer buddies. Emily hadn't just framed me. She turned me into the fall guy for a felony distribution charge that could have landed her in juvie. My hands shook as I copied it all to a thumb drive. This wasn't just betrayal. It was a house of cards built on my blood. But revenge? It needed teeth. I needed leverage. Next, the family group chat, muted on her phone, of course. Mom gushing about humpback whale tours, Emily's sisters posting bikini selfies. I fired off a photo me as her at a spa day. Caption. Recharging solo. Mad send her love. Wish she could have made it. The replies flooded in. Hearts from Mom. A thumbs up from Dad. Emily's real phone from Maui pinged with confusion. Wait, I'm you? What the hell, Mads?
No, sis.
I'm you now. The swap was supposed to last 48 hours, per the waiver. Plenty of time to unravel her threads. I hit the streets next. Uber to the old neighborhood. Our parents' house looked the same. Faded siding, the maple tree Dad planted when Emily was born. Mine got a sapling that died. I let myself in with the spare key, the one Emily never returned. Mom and Dad were still in Hawaii. The place echoed like a tomb. Upstairs, in what used to be our shared room, now a guest space with Emily's old trophies on the shelves, I found the box. Tucked under the bed, taped shut. Letters from my college era, rejection notices I'd hidden, a diary entry where I'd confessed the crash suspicions. And at the bottom, a Polaroid from that night at the lake. Emily behind the wheel, laughing, me slumped in the passenger seat.
Proof.
Undeniable. But as I pocketed it, my vision swam. The swap's edges fraying?
No time.
Chad called, insistent.
Ain't.
Where are you? Flight lands tomorrow. Complication at work. I purred, Emily's flirt in my throat.
Pick me up at the clinic.
We need to talk. He bought it. Hook, line, sinker. That night, I hit a dive bar in Belltown, the kind with sticky floors and craft IPAs that taste like regret. Ordered whiskey neat, her poison, and nursed it while plotting. The twist: Emily wasn't just a backstabber. She was a climber. Those offshore accounts? Funneled from a Ponzi scheme she'd greenlit for apex clients. Widows, retirees, the American dream shredded for her bonus. One name jumped out. Mrs. Hargrove, the neighbor who'd baked us cookies after the crash. She'd lost her nest egg. Ended up in assisted living on Medicaid. Controversial decision number 1. I emailed the files to a journalist contact from my editing days, a scrappy blogger at The Stranger who'd owe me for that unpaid gig last year. Anonymous tip: PR Princess and the Pyramid. Attach evidence, hit send. Fallout incoming. By morning, her body ached, a psychic hangover from the neural bridge. I drove her Audi to Elysium, the city blurring past like a bad acid trip. Dr. Voss waited in the lobby, clipboard in hand. Ms. Harper. Extraction imminent. How was the sojourn? Eye-opening, I said, sliding into the pod. As the drugs pulled me under, I wondered, would Emily wake up in her own skin, or had I fractured something permanent? Did I care? Consciousness snapped back like a rubber band to the balls. My studio apartment, the vape haze seeping through the floorboards. I was me again, Madeline, scars and all. But the thumb drive was real, clutched in my fist. Emily's phone buzzed on the cot beside me. 20 missed calls, a barrage from Chad. WDFM? Reporters everywhere. The revenge was just warming up. The headlines hit like a freight train barreling through Pike Place Market on Black Friday. Seattle PR exec linked to multi-million Ponzi bust, family ties to teen crash cover-up. The Stranger scoop went viral by noon, retweeted by every true crime podcaster from Portland to Philly. I watched it unfold from my laptop, a greasy Big Mac cooling on the windowsill, the Space Needle mocking me through the drizzle. Emily's empire, poof. Clients fleeing, Apex's stock plummeting, Chad's venture firm issuing a deeply concerned statement that reeked of prenup clauses. She landed back in Seattle that afternoon, jet-lagged and feral, straight from Maui's Lays to the Lion's Den. I knew because I timed it, lurking in a coffee shop across from Seattle-Tacoma, nursing a black Americano that tasted like battery acid. There she was, striding through arrivals in a rumpled sundress, sunglasses perched like armor, Chad trailing with their Louis Vuitton luggage like a whipped spaniel. Mom and Dad flanked her, faces drawn. Mom clutching a lei like a talisman, Dad muttering about lawyers. They piled into the Audi, hers, still smelling faintly of my sweat from yesterday, and peeled out toward Bellevue. I followed at a distance, my beat-up Civic blending into the minivan herd. The family home loomed like a guilty conscience, porch light flickering in the gray. I parked a block away, hood up against a spit of rain, and waited. An hour ticked by. Then the front door flew open, Emily's voice slicing the quiet like a switchblade. You did this. You spiteful little bitch. I know it was you. I slipped through the side gate, the one that creaked just enough to announce intruders. The kitchen window framed the chaos. Emily at the table, fists balled, Mom hovering with chamomile tea like it could fix fraud.
Dat nurset askoch, die askew.
Classic Harper meltdown, yell it out, hug it up, post a vague grateful for family on Facebook. Why would I said, stepping inside, letting the door bang shut behind me. They all froze, Emily's eyes widening like saucers, recognition dawning through the jet-lag fog. Madeline? How wait, the clinic.
You swapped?
That's insane. Insane. I laughed, a bark that echoed off the granite counters. Says the girl who pinned a DUI on her sister to protect her prom queen crown. Or should I say, her trafficking side hustle? Mom gasped, hand to her pearls, fake ones, from a QVC impulse buy. Girls, stop. This is a misunderstanding.
No, Mum.
It's crystal. I tossed the thumb drive onto the table. It skittered like a grenade pin.
Plug it in, Dad.
See for yourself. The crash logs, the bribes, the Ponzi pipelines. Emily's greatest hits. Dad hesitated, then slotted it into his laptop. The room fell silent save for the whir of the fan and the patter of rain. Emily's face drained of color, her tan from Maui turning sallow. It's not what it looks. Save it. I leaned against the fridge, arms crossed, channeling the calm I'd borrowed from her body. I woke up in your skin, Em. Felt your power walks, your backroom deals. Tasted the freedom of not being the fuck-up for once. And you know what? It fit. Chad shifted uncomfortably, eyes darting to the exit. Babe, we should call our attorney. Emily snapped, whirling on him. This is my mess, her mess. The betrayal layered on, thick as Seattle fog. Turns out, Chad knew. Bits, anyway, the offshore slush fund he'd invested in, the crash story he'd laughed off as sibling rivalry. Power couple goals, complicit in crime, photogenic in denial. Mom started sobbing, the tea forgotten. I can't. How did we miss this? Mads, baby, why didn't you tell us? Because you never asked. Because forgiveness was the family business, and I was the unpaid intern. But I didn't say that. Instead, I took the hit for her once. Community service, scarlet letters on my resume. Your golden girl's hands stayed clean. But secrets? They surface, Mom. Like oil on water. Dad ejected the drive. Face thunderous. Emily Renee Harper, if this is true. It is, she shrieked, lunging for me. We grappled, sisters brawl, nails and hair yanking, the primal shit we'd outgrown in middle school. I pinned her against the island, her breath hot on my face, smelling of airplane peanuts and panic. You think this ends me? I've got connections, Mads. Real ones. You'll be the crazy one. Body-snatching delusions? They'll lock you up. Controversial decision, too. I let her go. Stepped back, chest heaving, and pulled out my phone. Hit record. Say it again, Em. For the gram. Sister swap Karma Maui. She froze, calculating. The room hung in suspended animation, Mom whispering, please, Dad scrolling news alerts on his phone, Chad edging toward the door. Emily straightened, smoothing her dress, that debate team poise snapping back.
Fine.
You want war? Truce first. Family meeting. Tomorrow. Neutral ground. I should have known better. Truce with a viper? But the hook of normalcy tugged. Visions of us as kids, building forts in the backyard. Before the crash cracked the foundation. The diner on Aurora. 9 a.m. sharp. I left them there, the rain swallowing my footsteps. Back in my apartment, I couldn't sleep. The swap's aftereffects lingered. Phantom itches where her tattoos hid under sleeves. Echoes of her laugh in my throat. What if it wasn't temporary? What if I'd absorbed her, piece by malignant piece? Dawn crept in, gray and unforgiving. I dressed in armor. Jeans, Doc Martens, the leather jacket from my bartending days. The diner was a relic, neon sign buzzing, open 24/7, booths cracked vinyl patched with duct tape. Smelled like bacon grease and broken dreams. They were already there when I arrived, booth in the back, coffee steaming like peace offerings. Emily looked wrecked, no makeup, hair in a messy bun, wearing Dad's old hoodie. Mom slid over, patting the seat. Seat, honey. Let's talk this out. I did, wary as a stray cat. Orders came, pancakes for Mom, eggs over easy for Dad, black coffee all around. Emily pushed hers away. I owe you an apology, Mads. The crash. I was scared. Young, stupid. Tyler pressured me. Tyler. The name soured on my tongue. The lobbyist? Still protecting his ass after all these years. She flinched. It's more than that. The drugs? Not mine. He planted them, framed us both. I switched seats to save you from him. The DUI was collateral. Lies, layered like milfy. But Dad bought it, nodding solemnly. We protect our own, girls. Always have.
Protect.
The word twisted like a knife. I glanced at my phone, voicemails piling up. Reporters sniffing for quotes, Lena from Apex begging for damage control. Emily's eyes met mine. A flicker of the old sisterly spark? Or calculation. Then the twist uncoiled, slow and venomous. Chad's phone lit up on the table, text from an unknown. Tell him the Hargrove payout's wired. Keep her quiet. He snatched it, but too late.
I saw.
You son of a... I lunged, but Emily was faster, grabbing my wrist.
Wait.
It's not. The diner erupted. Shouts. A waitress yelling for the manager, coffee spilling like blood. Dad threw cash on the table, herding us out. In the parking lot, under sodium lamps casting orange hell, Emily cornered me.
You don't get it, Mads.
The swap? Voss isn't some wellness guru. He's my investor. Elysium's the real Ponzi. Consciousness uploads for the 1%, promising eternal youth. I funneled the money.
But you?
You're the glitch. The poor girl who wandered in. My blood ran cold. The clinic, the waiver, it was a trap. She'd known. Lured me with the ad, the referral hack. Why? Because you were always the better me. Smarter, tougher. In my body, you could have ruined everything. So I let you. Watched you self-destruct from afar. The betrayal deepened, a chasm. Mom overheard, crumpling against the car. Emily.
No.
But she was already dialing Voss, I assumed. Extract the anomaly.
Now.
Controversial decision 3. I ran. Not from them, from the truth. Dove into my Civic, tires squealing toward the clinic. If Emily was the architect, Voss the builder, I was the wrecking ball. But as I merged onto I-5, lights flashing in the rearview, cops? No, black SUVs, Elysium security. The chase was on, rain-slicked highways turning into a blur of taillights and horns. I ditched the car in an alley off Denny Way, hoofed it to a payphone. Yes, they still exist in Seattle's underbelly. Called the journalist again. Double down. Elysium's the motherlode, mind theft for millionaires. Then, ghosting into the night, toward the one place they wouldn't look. Tyler's DC connection. Time to unbury the whole rotten orchard. The high from the diner dissolved into paranoia. Every shadow was a tale, every buzz a burner phone. I crashed at a motel in Tacoma, the kind with hourly rates and roaches the size of quarters. Wired the Polaroid to the stranger, digital proof of the crash switch. By midnight, Emily's face was everywhere. Heiress or hoax? Body swap scandal rocks tech elite. But sleep evaded me. In dreams, I was her again, striding boardrooms, whispering poisons. Waking, I wondered, had the swap left residue? Was I still Madeline, or a mosaic of us both? Dawn brought the call I dreaded. Mom, voice cracking. Mads, come home. Emily's. She's confessing. To everything. Trap or truth. Only one way to find out. I headed north, the Olympics rising like judgmental gods on the horizon. The family waited, but so did the storm. The drive back to Bellevue felt like a funeral procession, the wipers slapping a dirge against the relentless downpour. I ditched the motel at first light, grabbing a burner from a gas station mini-mart. $20 for anonymity, the clerk's indifferent shrug my only witness. Mom's call looped in my head. She's confessing.
To what?
The Ponzi? The crash? Or the swap? That Frankenstein farce she'd orchestrated with Voss? Trust was a casualty long dead, but blood's a stubborn tether. I had to see it through, if only to drive the stake home myself. The house glowed like a beacon of false hope, driveway clogged with unfamiliar sedans, lawyers, no doubt, or Apex crisis managers in ill-fitting suits. I parked curbside, hood shadowing my face, and slipped in through the unlocked garage. Voices murmured from the living room. Low, urgent, laced with that Harper hush we'd perfected over pot roasts and PDA scandals. Peering through the half-open door, I saw the tableau. Emily on the couch, knees to chest, looking small, human for the first time since puberty. Flanked by Mom and Dad, who aged a decade in days. Dad's hair wilder, Mom's eyes puffy from tears or gin. Chad paced, phone to ear, barking at some underling about reputational firewalls. Voss was there too, perched on the armchair like a vulture in a lab coat, tablet glowing with what I assumed were extraction protocols. Neural integrity compromised, he was saying, accent thicker under stress. The anomaly, Ms. Madeline, has accessed restricted data. We must initiate full recall. Emily's head snapped up.
No.
I told you, Raynor. She's family. This ends now. Family. The word hung, toxic. I stepped in, boots thudding on the hardwood. Ends? Oh, honey, we're just getting to the credits. Chaos bloomed, Chad dropping his phone, Mom's gasp, Dad surging to his feet. Voss bolted for the door, but Emily was faster, grabbing his arm, nails digging. You promised discretion. Not this Gestapo bullshit. I laughed, bitter as burnt toast. Gestapo? Cute, from the woman who turned body swapping into a blackmail racket. Spill it, Em. The full confession. She deflated, gesturing to the coffee table, stacked with printouts, the thumb drives damning twins.
Fine.
All of it. The crash, I drove. Tyler's coke in the trunk, his deal gone bad. I panic-switched us. Framed you to buy time, call Daddy. Dad winced, but she plowed on. The Ponzi? Apex's dirty secret. I greenlit it for the commissions. Hargrove and 50 others, bled dry. Voss. Elysium was my Hail Mary. Tech bros pay millions for eternal execs, uploading minds to avatars, ditching the meat suit. I was the poster girl, testing swaps on surrogates. Burnouts, addicts. Until you hacked in. Mom whimpered. Why Mads? Your own blood? Emily's eyes, mirrors of mine, hardened. Because she knew too much. The box under the bed, the Polaroids. And after the vacation snub, she was unraveling. I thought the swap would break her. Expose her as the unhinged one. Break me? I've been broken since the guardrail buckled. But this, admitting the vacation as the catalyst, that calculated cruelty to push me over the edge, was the gut punch. You posted paradise without me to bait the trap. Make me desperate enough to call Elysium.
Nod. No denial.
Chad finally hung up, face ashen. The SEC circling. Chad Harper Investments is toxic now. Good, I said. Join the club. Voss twitched, inching toward escape. Controversial decision for, I blocked him, pulling a can of bear mace from my jacket, souvenir from a hiking trip I'd never taken.
Sit.
Or spray. Your call, document. He sat, muttering about lawsuits. Dad, ever the engineer, fiddled with his phone, recording, I realized.
Smart man.
This goes to the feds. All of it. The climax crested then, raw and ragged. Emily stood, bridging the gap between us, sisters, fractured but flesh. I hated you, Mads. For being the smart one, the survivor. The one who didn't need the spotlight. But in the swap. When you were me, I felt it. Your strength. It scared me shitless. Felt it? The bridge went both ways. I tasted your poison, Em. The thrill of the con. The high of the lie. But I also saw the cracks you're hollow. Chasing Chad's approval, Mom's pride. It's all smoke. Tears tracked her cheeks, real ones, salt and surrender. Then end it.
Turn me in.
I'll plead. But spare them. A nod to our parents, crumbling in the corner. Mom reached for me, voice a rasp. Mess. Forgive. Like we taught you. Forgiveness. The family gospel, preached from pulpits of convenience. But as I looked at Emily, my mirror, my monster, a deeper truth surfaced, the twist that inverted everything. I already did, I said softly. The drive? Planted. The emails to the journalist? Forged timestamps, your style, but my code. I swapped back, but I kept the access. Hacked your cloud from my side of the pod. Gasps rippled. Emily's eyes widened.
You.
What? The real Ponzi? It's Voss's. Elysium's laundering hub for Apex's legit clients. Your cut was chump change. I framed you to draw him out. The crash cover-up? Buried deeper, but I dug. Tyler's the linchpin, lobbying for neural tech deregulation. You took the fall for him once. Now it's his turn. Voss lunged, mace time. The spray hit like napalm. He howled, clawing at his face. Chad bolted, Dad tackling him in the foyer. Mom dialed 911, voice steady for once. Intruder. Domestic dispute. Send everyone. Sirens wailed distant, closing in. Emily sank to the floor, me joining her, 2 Harpers in the wreckage. Why lie? Why not just expose me? Because blood's thicker than bile. And revenge? It's a mirror. I looked in yours, saw myself. The vacation post? It hurt, yeah. But it woke me. Made me fight dirty, like you. Cops swarmed 20 minutes later. Statements, cuffs on Voss, sobbing in German. Chad zip-tied for obstruction. Emily waved counsel, spilling to the detectives like a confessional. But the real bust? My anonymous tip to the FBI, routed through a VPN in Vancouver, Tyler's DC office raided by noon, Elysium servers seized by dusk. The aftermath unspooled in slow motion. Emily cut a deal. Probation, restitution, community service at a women's shelter, irony noted. Chad divorced her, fleeing to Dubai with half the assets. Good riddance. Apex folded, but not before a class action suit named me the whistleblower hero, scholarship fund for victims, my name in the credits. Mom and Dad? Therapy. Actual, couples and kids kind, where we unpacked the crash like a therapy grenade. Forgiveness flowed, tentative, hugs at Thanksgiving, no filters needed.
Me?
I kept the studio, but traded freelance gigs for a staff job at The Stranger, investigative beat, chasing shadows in the tech underbelly. The swap left scars, phantom confidence boosts, nights where I swear I hear her laugh. But it mended something too. I posted my first Insta story, a solo hike up Rattlesnake Ledge, summit view of the sound glittering like absolution. Caption. Found my paradise.
No substitutions.
Harper Rising. Emily visited once, post-release. Awkward coffee at that Aurora diner, pancakes untouched.
You saved me, Mads.
From myself. Or damned you. I teased, half serious. Debate team's eternal question. She laughed, our laugh. We left it there, open-ended. Happy? Tragic?
You tell me.
In America, revenge is as American as apple pie laced with arsenic, sweet, stomach-turning, and leaves you questioning the recipe. As for the surprise move that left them speechless, it wasn't the swap, or the frame job, or the mace. It was choosing mirror over malice. Breaking the cycle, one controversial truth at a time. But if Emily ever posts another vacation without me, I'll be there in spirit. Or whatever's left after the next glitch.